DemoCamp, our 10th DemoCamp 2019.
Woo!
I'm your host, Leo Dion. I'm the CEO and founder of Bright Digit here in town. I run a couple of podcasts with my colleague, Eric Gillespie, and specializing in Apple development. And I also run the local meetup and host the many meetups that are in town here, like Lansing Marketing Hackers. So first of all, I want to thank our host, Michigan Historical Center, for being here and hosting this occasion. Is there anybody here from the Michigan Historical Center? Thank you. They have been a wonderful host for the past 10 years, off and on, that we've been here, and it's a wonderful venue and a great place to learn about our wonderful heritage here in Michigan. I also want to thank our sponsors, especially our gold sponsor, Foster Swift. Nate is here with us today to say a few words about what Foster Swift does and how they can help you. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to say on behalf of Foster Swift, we're all really happy to sponsor this event. Foster Swift is a full service law firm. We see ourselves as a very practical law firm. If you're interested, we have a lot of different blogs for this group here, the MichiganITlaw.com. If you go there, that's going to be a lot of articles and blogs about things like cybersecurity, IP, and contracts and different things, kind of what happens when you mix legal and technology, and that's what you get there. So feel free to check that all out. Got some articles over there you guys want to check out. Got some other stuff there. Happy to speak with anyone here, and happy to be here. MichiganITlaw.com. And then FosterSwift.com is the main site if you'd like to see an overview of our... FosterSwift.com is the main site if you'd like to see an overview of the services.
I want to thank our other sponsors as well, RMC, the Michigan Historical Center, of course, Capital Macintosh, Leap, TechSmith, and Tech Systems for helping out get this event going. I'd love for you folks to share on Twitter photos, speakers, presentations. You can share them on social media. If you're going to be on Twitter, our hashtag is DC Lansing. And then if you have any photos you want to share on Instagram, I would love that as well. Our hashtag for that is DemoCamp Lansing. For today, we are accepting donations of cash and feminine hygiene products for homeless and low-income folks. With us here is Lizney, who can speak a little bit about that. Lizney?
Thank you. We're a small nonprofit. We're based here in Lansing, but we cover Ingham, Eaton, Clinton, and Shiawassee counties. We provide menstrual products for homeless and low-income women. It's not covered by SNAP or WIC or any other federal program. And when we found that out, we thought we had to do something. So here we are. This is our beginning of our 5th year here, and we've given over 500,000 items in 2018 alone. So what you can give. $35 will cover one person's menstrual needs for an entire year with our, we can buy stuff at wholesale, so that's how we can do that. So $35, or you can come. We love volunteers, and we have a breakfast coming up on March 9th, and we'd love to have you there. So look for us on our website, helpingwomenperiod.org.
Thank you, Lissy. So our schedule for tonight, we've just finished our mixer and reception section. We have 7 presenters, 2 groups. The first group will be our first 4 presenters, and then we'll have a little break at 8 o'clock, and then followed by that, we'll have our next group of presenters, which will be the next 3 out of the 7. So from here, I will let things get started. Our first presenter for tonight is Joe Eastman with AR Utility, Augmented Reality Utility Locating. AR Utility, Augmented Reality Utility Locating, Joe Eastman. Joe, take it away.
Let's make sure the mic is working. All right. All right, so yeah, I'm going to be talking to you about my company AR Utility, which is Augmented Reality Utility Locating. So before I do that, a quick introduction of the team behind AR Utility. It's myself at the top, and then my business partner, Orlando Chappell. So together, between the two of us, we have just over 30 years of experience working with all different various types of utilities between gas, sewer, electric, water, storm, you name it, we've pretty much worked with it. So this solution was developed because of our own needs and problems in the field. So our mission at AR Utility is to basically reduce damages to underground utilities and make excavation safer and more efficient, but also provide utilities with additional tools that will help them with their asset management. And we do that through basically encouraging collaboration and through the use of new technologies. So the reason we want to accomplish this goal, here's a few examples. So you can see that the consequences of hitting underground utilities can be catastrophic. And actually, in some of these cases, they were actually fatal as well. So to bring that problem even closer to home, this picture is actually a 12-inch water main here in the city of Lansing that was hit at the end of last year. So the result of that damage was actually a boil water notice for customers, so it was a huge inconvenience. You lose trust in customers when these incidents happen, and it actually cost the contractors themselves about $20,000 for this one damage. So that kind of gives you an idea of the magnitude of the problem that we're trying to solve. So the reason I think that we're seeing these damages is we're still relying on a lot of the old processes that have been in place for a while. So typically at the beginning of a project, the contractor has to call in a MISTIG ticket. And at that point, all the utilities in that area within the project have to go out and actually stake and locate all of their utilities. So you'll see a scenario like this where there will be flags, paint marks, and other markings on the ground surface kind of letting you know where those utilities are located. But that's all the information you get. You don't know the size, the pressure, how deep, and as you can see, it can get kind of confusing with all these flags on the ground as well. But you also have the opposite problem too, where they don't put down enough flags. So before I go into the demo and show you how the app actually works, I just wanted to explain real quick what augmented reality is. So augmented reality is basically you're taking a live camera feed with a mobile device, and you're overlaying digital information on top of that live camera feed. That varies from VR, where you're completely immersed in your environment and completely unaware of your actual surroundings. So you've probably seen this before in your everyday life, Snapchat, Facebook, and you've probably created some great pictures like this. So that is a filter applied. That's not our normal look there. So we're taking that same technology and we're applying it to our solution. So we're overlaying a live camera feed on like a mobile phone or tablet, iOS or Apple, doesn't matter. And we're displaying the utilities in the real world where they're located. And I'll show you in the demo exactly how that works as well. So the demo's starting here, but I want to explain real quick before it goes too far. We have a web app and a mobile app that makes this solution work. So what I'm going to show you first is the web app, and this is where the project creation, similar to like a MISTIG ticket, that whole process starts, and where the collaboration takes place between utilities as well. So this is the web app, and this is what you would see as a utility when you log in. And this is essentially a list of all of the projects that, let me go back. List of all the projects that your utility has created. So this gives you some quick overview information, and then you can click on each individual project and see a detailed description of what that project entails and where it's located. Now, one of the cool things that we just added, one of the new features, I'm going to zoom in on it here, is we actually now allow you to download a shapefile of that utility's assets. So we're actually making the initial design process for engineering consulting firms a lot more efficient as well. It's no more hand sketching and scaling things off and drawing them in manually into AutoCAD. So now on the other side of things, when I create a project, all the utilities in that area are going to get a request saying, hey, the Lansing Board of Water and Light or Consumers Energy wants to see your utilities in augmented reality. At that point, you can click on the request, and you can easily approve or deny that request and leave comments for the utility as well on why you gave that approval or denial. So the last step in the process is actually creating the project, which I'm going to show you next, and then I'll show you how the application actually works in the field on the mobile app. Should go now. So this is the project creation. It's very simple. Put in some basic project information, draw out a polygon around where your project is located, and we only pull the utilities within that project boundary. So what I'm going to show you next is actually the mobile app, and this is on the tablet or smartphone. So it looks very similar to the web app, but what you do is you come in here. These are all the projects that your utility, again, has created. And you can simply click on a project, and it'll give you that detailed view again. At this point, when you're out in the field, you would load the project up, which I'm about to do on the demo. And what our application actually does is it can physically detect the ground surface. So you can see that white mesh on the ground there. So we're actually getting a point cloud of every object out there in the environment and detecting the planes as well. And then what we can do is actually just click on whatever plane we want to display our utilities on, and it accurately projects them out into the world. So the dashed lines that you're going to see as I walk around here are similar to where those flags would be if you called in a MISTIG ticket. But the great thing about this is you can actually see the pipes underground as well. So you'll see as I travel from left to right, the perspective with that main that's 5 foot below the ground surface. And that's just kind of showing, how those utilities are displayed. So what I showed before this continues here is you can actually click on every single asset that's displayed and view all the information about it, like size, operating pressure, voltage, whatever the utility is. If that utility has that information, you can pull it in. So lastly, this is an example. So you're going to see one of those flags that I was talking about. It's that little blue flag, and this serves a couple points. Number one, you can see that the accuracy of the information is actually fairly accurate, but also what information do you get from one little flag out in the field? I think if you can have a constant view of those underground utilities at all times, you're going to have a safer work site, and you're going to have access to more important information that you're going to want to know as an excavator. So that concludes the demo portion and my presentation.
Do we have any questions for Joe?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so the dotted line was surface level, the solid line was fill line.
Yeah, correct. Yep, that dashed line is on the ground surface, and then the assets are displayed at their actual depth underground.
Go ahead.
Same question.
Oh, okay.
What was your process for getting this data?
Yeah, so actually right now we're integrating directly with ArcGIS Esri products. So whether it's ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS on server. So we rely on the utilities GIS, or Geographical Information System.
You may just ask my question, but you're not sensing anything, right?
Correct, yep. It's just a new way basically to visualize assets.
Do you have any competitors?
There is one other company that is out of Canada that's at a very similar stage as myself, but I think that what they're focusing on is the Microsoft HoloLens, which, me being out in the field and in this industry for enough time, I know that inspectors and contractors are not going to be wearing a headset that obstructs their view. There's safety issues, and it's just not practical. So my solution is focusing basically on tablets and handheld devices. And I'm also working on that collaboration side of things as well. So there's some added benefits to that system that that company is not. Right now, yes, but we're working on some partnerships right now as well with another company in Canada and some other utilities as well. So.
Is there lag time?
There is no lag time. Nope. When you load that project up, it's pulling in that information, and once it's loaded, it's there and it's ready to go.
Last question, Randy.
Yep, yeah, and similar to that last question where we pull the information from the Geographical Information System. So yeah, utilities are out getting GPS coordinates on valves, hydrants, and things like that, and that's where we're getting all of our information.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next presentation is Creating Community with Social Media with Lisney Tate. Creating Community with Social Media, Lisney Tate. Take it away, Lisney.
All right, good evening. My name is Lisney Tate. That's Lisney like Disney. I'm a co-founder and co-director of a small nonprofit here in Lansing. I told you about that earlier, Helping Women, period. And I'm also a co-director or co-admin and co-founder of a larger Facebook networking group here in town called Not Your Mother's Networking Group. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about creating community and in the realm of social media and what worked for us and what didn't. Okay, everyone is looking for connection. It's an integral part of being a human. Little kids are great at this. They go to sandbox and one sits down and says, I like snails, and the other one sits down and says, I like red. And they can sit there and be happy together and life is good. They could be friends for life. We spend most of our formative years trying to create connection, trying to force connection, trying to dress like other people, trying to act like other people, trying to break out of what our families have shown us, trying to get our own individual identity. And it seems to get harder as we get older. We second guess what others are saying, looking for when we attempt to forge connections, which is why networking events are great. They give us a structure that we didn't need in that sandbox. We shake hands, we introduce ourselves, and we mention something about what we do. This is because we want to find something of ourselves in others, and we want to have a basis for building a relationship. Communities are groups of people with shared connection, like physical, like neighborhoods, spiritual, like churches, mental, like schools, or it could be virtual, like Facebook. We've all seen those warnings that obsession with technology is going to ruin our relationships, it's going to ruin families. You see people shaming other people for being on their phones all the time at the restaurants. People say Facebook is a waste of time. I know Facebook is for older people. My kids are like, what are you talking about, Mom? I have found, however, that amazing things come out of technology. I have imaginary friends all over the world. I've been on social media for 20 years, and like back with dial-up and everything like that, and you really had to want to be on there to talk to those people. But if it weren't for technology and social media, I wouldn't be doing what I do today. In January 2015, my friend Amy and I were both on Facebook at the same time in the middle of the night. We both posted the same Huffington Post article about the lack of product for women who are homeless and low income, the lack of feminine protection products. And a flurry of private messages followed. We're like, what are you doing up at 2 in the morning? Why did we never know that this was a problem? What can we do about it? So we decided to host a breakfast, invite 30 friends, and collect donations and purchase a few cases of pads and tampons off the internet, donate it to a local shelter, and then we would be done. Little did we know. We put the event up on a Sunday in February, and by that Tuesday, we had to change the venue because we had 70 people who were interested in coming to our breakfast and supporting this project. And by Thursday, we had become a nonprofit because we had people from all over the United States who wanted to send us money and we couldn't take it. I didn't want them to just write a check to me. Well, I could, but then it wouldn't be, going to the right thing. So thus, Helping Women Period was born. That first breakfast, we raised $4,000. There we go, sorry. We raised $4,000. We connected with a local janitorial supply company who said if we bought 100 cases, he would give it to us at wholesale rates. And we were like, sure, but we only wanted 2. So we looked around, we found some shelters, we found some food banks who were interested in the product, and we started delivering product all over Ingham, Eaton, Clinton, and Shiawassee counties. And we've been going full steam ever since. All of the charity partners I met that summer while I was delivering product also had other needs that they had. They're like, do you know any volunteers? Do you know someone who can program something for us? Do you know somebody who could build this thing for us? And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a place online where somebody could say, I have a volunteer job, and somebody else would say, I want to volunteer, and you could connect them, and it would be great. Or job, if I have a job or whatever. So in October of 2015, this was a very busy year for me, a friend posted on Facebook about a frustrating experience she had at work. Her office had set up a women's networking event, but all the speakers were men. 2 other friends and I, we commented and we're like, this is crazy. Why? There's lots of women who have lots of great things to say about networking and business. And we thought, well, we're going to set up a women's networking Facebook group, non-traditional, safe place for women, a place for creatives and introverts and people who don't have those opportunities to go to a networking event or don't like to because they want to stay in their house not wearing pants, you know. But so we did this, and we a place that served the same purpose as a fence in our mother's backyards, but with newer, different, fresher things. So finally, this is a place where I can connect my volunteers with volunteer opportunities. So we started in October. By December, we had 40,000 people in our group, only local women. Worked or lived within 20 miles of Lansing. We have people who we ask them 3 questions. They promise to lift each other up, not put each other down. And we now have 17,000 members in this group. They're all within 20 miles of or live or work within 20 miles of Lansing. The scope has changed a little bit since we started. It kind of tends towards a pink Google now, like where's the best doctor, who makes the best cakes, where can I get a photographer. There are job postings, there are volunteer postings. We have a couple spin-off groups because it got so large it was unwieldy to run. We have a parenting group, we have a marketplace, we have a business owners group so that we can kind of get back to that original idea of what Not Your Mother's was supposed to be. We have, out of these 17,000 members, we have 13,000 who are active on a weekly basis. And so that's like 1,900 posts. We have 4 administrators, or admins, I'm sorry, who spend about an hour, hour and a half a day on that site, accepting members, approving posts, resolving conflict, which is a lot, commenting, posting anonymous posts for people who have things they want to say, but don't want their names out there, and teaching people how to use the search engine, because that's a hard thing, apparently. It can be
Okay, Lindsay, we're out of time.
I'm sorry, that's okay.
We have 1 minute for Q&A. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. What is the biggest challenge of growing so quickly? Really finding the time to do this on a volunteer basis and make sure that all the posts were approved and make sure that people are being nice to each other. It's really.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for coming up.
Thank you.
Our next group is the MSU Dev Team with The Robot Split in Time. MSU Dev Team, The Robot Split in Time. Take it away, guys.
Thank you.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Brian Wynn. I'm a professor in the Department of Media and Information at Michigan State University. And I'm here with this fabulous group of students that worked on a project over about a 6-month period. It started, I think, in spring 2018 and ran through the fall. And yeah, so we're here to talk about the robot split in time. So let me hand it over to Alan Martin, who is the lead designer on the project.
Hello, everyone. So with us also we have Brooke, our technical animator, David, lead programmer, Tristan, our producer, and then Austin, our audio person, and Madison, another art person. Just quick shout outs. So the Robot Split in Time is a puzzle platformer where 2 players cooperate to overcome a variety of challenges, playing as 2 robots split in time. So this is going to show off some gameplay. Like Brian mentioned, this was kind of a project that started a year ago, and in the first couple of months of development, we were really pushing for a single-player experience. But once we started to go further with and realized we had more time to actually develop on it, we wanted to do a lot more interesting things, and that's when we decided we were going to make it a 2-player experience. And with making it a 2-player experience, a lot of crazy ideas right off the rip that, you know, we eventually tried to like narrow down that list as development went on to like fit our scope. But yeah, one thing that we kept in mind throughout all of development was developing an experience that really encouraged cooperation and coordination between the players, and one that, you know, encouraged them to communicate like when they're playing. So you'll see in the design a lot of visual cues, like the robots are sitting with each other when they're doing actions. And in the level that they're both being utilized. And another thing is at the end of the level, the robots fist bump, and we just wanted to create something that really made the players feel good for like what they were doing.
ability to solve the puzzles being they have to be two people at once or coordinate different actions. Like you can see here, one player has control over this moving platform, and this other player of dropping this trash to manipulate this robot. We just wanted to create different puzzles. Players had to coordinate, had to say, okay, swap that.
And our other major focus we had was developing like these more platforming focused levels that were try to force the players to coordinate with each other more. So in contrast to the earlier slower, more laid back puzzle levels where you could take your time to figure out how to solve a puzzle, these levels are more fast paced and require players to make very quick decisions to solve the puzzle, otherwise they would die.
So some of the programs that we use to actually accomplish this and bring the game to life and where it is now is Unity 3D, the game engine. The programming language that our wonderful programmers and technical designers used was C#. We also used Maya for our 3D assets and some ZBrush and Photoshop and Substance Designer and Substance Painter for textures. Our whole aesthetic, if you can't tell a little bit by our coordination and our cute little Carl head here, was very inspired by 70s retrofuturism.
Yeah, so the Robot Split in Time is available now. Like I said, it came out in December. You can download it for free from gamedev.msu.edu. It's available for both Windows and Mac OS. We're actually taking the game to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco in about 2 weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time, to showcase it as part of Intel's running a university game showcase. So we selected one of the projects coming out of the program to be that, and this is the project we picked. So there was, several other games in development, several other great games. This is one that we just thought would show really well at that event. So we hope you enjoy the game, hope you play it, and thanks for your time. Any questions?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, team. We have a couple of minutes for questions.
When will you be on Steam? Nice. So it's actually on GameJolt right now, so you can get it off GameJolt, which is another site where you can find a lot of free games. But do you want to talk about, is there any future aspirations that you guys have?
We definitely have a lot of things we're always talking about, a lot of possibilities. Not any for Steam right now. We're going further, but maybe after GDC we'll start to talk about the future more.
Yeah, so this was a project that they finished in December. Now they're on to other big projects that they're working on. So yeah, a lot of students have aspirations to go back to projects kind of after, during the summertime and things like that. So hopefully that'll happen. So was there, yeah?
How many downloads so far?
I haven't looked at the page recently. I think it's less than 100 for sure. It's not a lot. Probably somewhere around 20.
It has not been marketed, so we just put it on the game dev website, which is a fairly frequented website, but it literally went up this morning on that site. So it's been on GameJolt, but GameJolt is thousands of games, so it gets kind of lost in the fold. So we're just starting to promote it. Yeah, up there.
Can you accidentally shoot your own partner?
There's no shooting in this game.
There is no friendly fire.
Yeah.
You can swap them into lasers sometimes, but that's about it.
So between game development and web development, or mobile or game or anything else, I guess, games development you have to consider more it's really focused on the user experience because that's the entire point of it almost. So we have to make sure it runs well, looks good, but make sure it can play on people's computers because games are really intensive compared to other applications. So there's a lot that goes into that, and yeah.
It's a lot of iteration over and over. Sometimes throwing out things you've worked really hard on just because it's not working. Just a lot of our levels just play test, iterate over it, play test, iterate over it. And it can be a lot of work sometimes, but it makes for a real polished experience.
One more question.
Does it teach people anything that can be carried over to a practical thing in life, such as workplace cooperation, learning? It has more of an implication than just
Yeah, I think co-op games in general teach a lot about how to just make working together not the worst. Just because if you play the game with a
just like game development, right?
If you play a game with someone who's just why aren't you doing this? You're supposed to do that. Just do what I say. Neither of you are gonna have a fun time. To really have fun with the game, you have to be a little more relaxed. If you're playing with someone with a different skill set, you need to learn to don't just snap at them, kind of try to teach them. And because if you don't do that, neither of you are gonna have a good time. Even though it's generally a good experience that you should be going through.
Yeah, and most of these students also work in the Games for Entertainment and Learning Lab at MSU, where we design games for meaningful play, for education, training, health purposes, and that sort of thing. So this game was more focused on entertainment, but certainly they've used their game development skills for, the greater good of humanity. So,
Thank you, MSU Game Dev team. All right, our next presenter is Jerry Norris with the Baptismal and Our Life Sciences Solution. Jerry Norris, the Baptismal and Our Life Sciences Solution. Take it away, Jerry.
Hi, everyone. Like Leo said, my name's Jerry. I am the CEO of The Fledge. And I want to just quickly introduce you to the Fledge. If I would have done this presentation about a month ago, I would have put that we are an ideation place, a maker place, an incubator, and an accelerator. But we're struggling with that language because we're doing so much more than some of the traditional economic development things, that what we really started to see ourselves is an organization that attracts people, we welcome people, we include them in things by inviting them to the dinner table, not just giving them leftovers. So we're really working hard on our inclusion, which is creating a huge diversity of talent and different people and different backgrounds and different knowledge that is making our team stronger and stronger. Every time we add a single person to the network, we're getting a network effect, but we're getting it in an analog way. So every person brings value as far as we're concerned, and we've got value for everybody. So a lot of cool symbiotic relationships. But as we get this group together, we discover together, we create together, and then we share with each other or we share with those outside of the Fledge in order to create a system that sustains. And what I want to do is show you one of our techniques, which is project-based innovation, in how we go through that process to attract and eventually create things that help us to sustain. So what project-based innovation is we gather a community. It comes to us some way. It might be through a rap showcase or a coding club or a nonprofit event that we're having. And we identify a project that resource or that community wants to do. We get the tools and resource around that we have, and then we get them to think world class. And what I really mean by that is push a magic button, and if they were doing this project anywhere in the world with the coolest resource and the coolest technology, what would that project really look like? And then we go after that. And one of the reasons we go after that is, and we've been saying this a lot lately, is Lansing sometimes sits around letting things happen to it. And I think that's so wrong. We've got so much innovation and so much talent here that we've got to start making things happen out to the world. And I really want us, there's so many cool things that we've already seen. And Not Your Mom's network, man, I have to go to my wife all the time. What are they saying? What did we do? Post this. So I'm in there by proxy sometimes. But there's so much talent here and so many great things and so much innovation and so much diversity. We should be able to do anything that any other city does. So at the Fledge, we have dreams. So that's my building, and that's a fish in a pond. So that's my building dreaming about, well, these guys that aren't a church just bought us. What are they going to do with the baptismal? And at first I thought, well, we'll just make it a hydroponic grow room or something like that. And people kept saying, let's put fish in it. Let's put fish in it. So I finally gave in and said, all right, let's use the baptismal. Dustin's smiling up there because he was key in that. Let's use the baptismal as something, a resource to center the project on. And let's get our clubs to start thinking about how they could participate in that. So we got the coding club together, and I'll mention some names at the end here, but we used the coding club to attract talent. And we had some tools. We had Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and a sensor kit and some Philips Hues. And we said, you know what we should do is we should connect this pond to an aquaponics system. We should take Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and sensors, and we should create this project that changes the color of the building or changes the lighting inside based on the data that we're collecting. So instead of just putting fish in a pond, we said, let's grow some food with what they're able to produce, and let's start to expand our intellectual property by doing this really cool project. So instead of project-based learning, We call it project-based innovation, with the hope that we will create new projects, create products, create companies, whatever it is. So we bought the fish, and I was happy as shit, as you can see from this photo. I was so happy, wasn't I? And we got the technology around. We added different types of sensors. We added our locking system. We added our nests so that our temperature systems are there. And we started developing the technology to have, what I like to say, the tomato and the fish starting to talk to each other. And now we're working on the system integration for that. I'm sorry, I'm losing the track of my time. The system integration with it. So we've got fish in the pond. We're growing microgreens in the grow room. We've got sensors that can detect temperature and humidity right now, just doing some basic stuff. We can change the color of lights based on if the temperature goes above or below a threshold. And we're starting to play around with some robotics so that we can start to open things, close things, turn water on, turn water off. And we've got our first small ag tech startup that is going to take the intellectual property that we've developed and start to move it into commercialization. So what we like to say is that a bigger brain creates a better world, and our inclusion and our diversity gives us a bigger brain. So even when it's a 12-year-old kid that might be a newcomer, a refugee, we welcome him to it because he has life experiences, he has world views that just make us better. It might be a professor, someone from the neighborhood, someone random, and bigger brain, better world is kind of what we're trying to get at, and we do that through inclusion and diversity and technology and all these other things.
Thank you, Jerry. We have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Any questions?
We are on Eureka Street, 1300 Eureka. I should be saying that with invention tone. Right behind the Ronald McDonald House, so just off from Michigan Avenue by Sparrow.
You purchased the building yourself?
Yes.
It's a repurposed building?
Yes, it was a church. It was a Church of Christ, Church of the Nazarene. We're the third owner. It's 92 years old. We hope to make it to 100. Not yet. We're creating the Fledge Foundation, which is what this is representing. We've been a nonprofit for 4 years, and we bootstrapped with a start of $1,200 and haven't put really anything else into it. You need to come see the Fledge if you haven't seen the Fledge.
I was going to mention, you're still at Capital City Film Festival venue, right?
Yes.
So that's a great time to go check out the Fledge. Yeah.
Tomorrow's a great time to come. Yes, thefledge.com. So, thank you.
One last question.
Yes, there is an event tomorrow. There's a comedy theater from a group that used to be on the south side that's been displaced because their building was sold. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
We're going to do our TechSmith giveaway. Hopefully you gave us your ticket, and hopefully you're in this room. But TechSmith, of course, is one of our sponsors today, and we're going to pick to see who wins the bundle for Camtasia and Snagit. All right, get your tickets out. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 1, 0, 9, 5. 2, 3, 1, 0, 9, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2. You got it? 231095. Okay.
Toss that one.
Yep. 231073. 231073. Okay.
Do this until someone wins.
231108.
Excuse me.
231108. All right. 231097. 231097. Wow. All right. 231097. Congratulations, Dave. Give your email address to Eric, and the folks at Tech Systems will get you the software.
Thank you.
Yep. 231080. 231080. Thank you. That is it. All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Eric, just get that gentleman's email, and we're ready to go. Our next presenter is Neil Kane with the X Cube. Neil Kane with the X Cube. Take it away, Neil.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. I'm going to struggle to get this done in 7 minutes, so that's going to be my challenge. But I'm here to tell you about a product that a partner and I brought to market called the X Cube. There's a lot to the story, and I'm not going to be able to completely do it justice, but I'll do what I can here. In my day job, I'm the Director of Undergraduate Entrepreneurship at MSU, but I'm also the CEO of this company. Everybody knows what this is, right? Do you have an idea of what this is? Right, but if I showed this to you, you would know what it is, what to do with it. You don't need an explanation. You don't need instructions. If you saw this on a shelf, you would instantly have some recognition of it, right? So the story, I'm telling the story in the first person because I was very much a part of this, but I did not invent this product, okay? I want to make that clear. The product was invented by a person who was in college at the time who became my business partner. And as a kid, he was known as what we call a cuber, you know, one of those adolescents who slept with a Rubik's Cube under his pillow for many, many years. And then when he got to college and had access to 3D printers, he basically hacked a Rubik's Cube and added another layer to turn it into this X Cube. And the story really begins when he took this prototype, made a video of him solving it, which I'll show you in a moment. It went viral. As you can see there, he got about 1.7 million views. And then that was kind of when the light bulb went off and he said, maybe there's a business opportunity here. But it didn't start really as an entrepreneurial venture. And then through the university where he went in Chicago, he was introduced to the CEO of Marbles, the Brain Store, which was a chain of about 25 specialty stores that focused on games. They've since gone out of business, which was bad for us because they were our largest customer. Marbles said, yeah, I'll take the product if you can manufacture it. So they hooked him up with a manufacturer in China. And he, that is my partner, launched a Kickstarter to raise the money to move this forward. So I'm going to show you the Kickstarter video because a lot of this is very self-explanatory. I may have to speed it up a little bit just to make sure that we don't run out of time here, okay? The first about minute and a half, 2 minutes is the solve. Okay, so this is the product. started, though, just so that I get 3 minutes. I know they'll pull the hook on me. Okay.
Hello, Kickstarter. My name is Dane Christensen. I just finished my 2nd year studying mechanical engineering here at the Illinois Institute of Technology. Here we are at the university's Idea Shop, a prototyping lab where people can bring their ideas to life. Here at the Idea Shop, we have a 3D printer. This is the very 3D printer I use to make this X Cube. This turned out to be a pretty exciting puzzle, so I wanted to put it on the market. I approached Marbles the Brain Store, a chain based here in Chicago that sells all sorts of brain games. They said they'd love to carry the X Cube in their stores, and even connected me with a manufacturer. Your support on Kickstarter will pay for injection molding, assembly, and packaging, so the X Cube can make it into the hands of people everywhere. The X Cube proved to be a great application of 3D printing. I decided to make it open source. This way, the puzzle can reach a much wider audience while promoting 3D printing technology. Pledge what you want to support the Kickstarter, and you get to download the files to 3D print the X Cube. The X Cube is one puzzle you can't just take the stickers off of. Instead, if you get stuck, just take it apart and try again.
Okay, so it was about at that time that I met Dane. I had almost nothing to do with everything that you've seen so far. But he was a full-time student, raised $55,000 on Kickstarter, was now sourcing his product in China, and he had a customer. And it was at that point that he was kind of just sort of dying under the weight of everything that he had to do. And so when we met, I said, hey, maybe I can help you. I'm sort of the gray-haired, experienced entrepreneur guy, and I said, I tell you what, you focus on product, I'll do everything else, and we'll turn this into a business. And so these were his slides. You can see some of the dates there. September 2013, November 2013. This was the basement of his house where he had the first inventory run. That's him. He called this picture Throne of Games. Which really endeared me to him when I met him. But obviously this wasn't very sustainable or scalable. So the goal was to figure out how to turn it into a business. And I know that I don't have time to go through all this, but I helped to architect a different business model, which involved us selling through manufacturers' reps. We exhibited at the toy show at the Javits Center in 2015, where we landed Barnes & Noble as our big retail bricks and mortar customer, and that really kind of took us off. From there, we came out with some other products. Wish I had more time to talk about them, including the Boob Cube. It's the product for the rest of us. You should definitely check this out. We had a couple of hiccups with our manufacturer, but by the time that we were in Barnes & Noble and maybe about 100 specialty retailers and selling on Amazon, we started to do very, very well. Here are just the lessons learned. It really helps to have a great product. There's no question about that. But we also needed capital to grow. This is paradoxical and not always self-evident to people who haven't done it before. But part of my contribution was bringing the financing. And then we also learned some tough lessons about quality control as well. Okay, I'm out of time. Any of you are welcome to play with this.
Lou, where's Lou? All right, Lou is our mic Q&A guy. So now that we're at the Q&A portion, we'll go ahead and let Lou give you the mic.
I see in your lessons learned there's no infringement on trademarks, but what about like other IP? Does Rubik's Cube not have any patents around their mechanism of solving?
The original patents came out in 1975, so they've all expired. They probably have current patents, I don't know. But most of what you think of as the Rubik's Cube today is protected by trademarks. And lucky for us, it turns out it has to be a cube. And is this a cube? No.
How did you learn you can't be a one-product company, or why is that?
Oh, well, because, boy, that's a long story. I mean, you just don't have enough revenue and enough diversity in order to be able to grow. And this product, to make a very, very long story short, I mean, a lot of products don't last forever. Rubik's Cube is truly an anomaly. So this had a good run of a couple of years, but to build a business, you need other engines and ways to tag onto that and to add other sources of growth as your initial one starts to decline, as this has. And my partner, not to sound critical of him, but I was so impressed with his talent in creating this that I said, hey, I want to get behind this guy. I'll let him develop other things. And regrettably, he never was really able to reproduce this with another big hit.
All right, last question.
You know how the Rubik's Cube have like a code? It's like all white or in this shape. I just have to do this to make it happen.
Yeah.
Is the X Cube have like the same thing? If I see the white in some pattern, can I just...
Yeah, there's all sorts of tutorial videos on the website, so you can check that out. But what I will tell you is that there are, sort of algorithms or rules about how to solve this. It just turns out that they're different from the Rubik's Cube. So even if you know how to do a Rubik's Cube, this will still be a challenge for you. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Megan Bochar with Tech Inclusive. Megan Bochar, Tech Inclusive. Take it away, Megan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the nonprofit that I have helped found called Tech Inclusive. Our goal is to make tech work for everyone, not just straight white men. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story just to kind of give you a sense of where I came from. So that's my Twitter handle, Megan Bochar. Hit me up. I'm currently a software developer at Torrance Learning in Chelsea, Michigan, which is an e-learning company. I, until about a year ago, worked at a bank. So I did a little bit of a career transition. My very, very useful degree is in anthropology from the University of Michigan. So that was a great use of $100,000. So when I decided that I wanted a little bit less of a soul-sucky job than being a teller at a bank, I looked for resources. I knew I couldn't afford another bachelor's degree because, like most people my age, I'm still drowning in debt. So I decided I needed to learn some stuff. So Liz Lemon's my spirit animal. She is heavily featured in this presentation. I decided to become a software developer. The reason that I did that is because a lot of my friends made much better education decisions than I did at U of M, and were software developers, actually liked their jobs, made enough money to pay their bills, and that sounded appealing. So I found a local organization in Ann Arbor called Girl Develop It. Little did I know, it was not a local organization. It was a huge national organization with over 50 chapters across the country. I got to learn all about SQL in a 4-day class for $100. I thought that was a pretty sweet deal. For me, I hate learning online, which I know is kind of ironic as a person who works primarily on the computer, but I need a classroom. And for me, this was the only option in Ann Arbor aside from a university. So I ended up taking classes there, and I found it to be a very, very inclusive environment. So what I decided to do was to join up and see how I could help myself. When I started a job, I was the only female developer in the entire company. So I was working with 8 other men, all of whom were white, and I was like, maybe we need to start thinking a little bit more heavily about diversity, because there were some things that were being left out. I worked in healthcare software, and there were some very obvious, to me, things that were left out of the software. So I decided even more heavily to go into Girl Develop It. But Megan, you're not here to talk about Girl Develop It. You're talking about Tech Inclusive. Ooh, that's unfortunate. So Girl Develop It, for anyone who's familiar with the organization, has had a few hiccups, shall we say, in the past year or so. It's a national organization headquartered in Philadelphia. It was started by 2 women who wanted to do a little local organization and didn't really have the education or the resources to make it a national thing, but they did it anyway. So there's a huge lack of transparency in the organization. We would raise money as an Ann Arbor chapter. It would go back to the headquarters in Philadelphia, and then we never saw a dime of it. They were late to pay vendors and teachers. They required us to charge for classes, which we had a huge issue with. Ann Arbor is a very wealthy area, but if you go just outside of it, there are a lot of people who we could help that weren't able to access our classes. For me, I was fortunate to be able to afford that $100 for my 4-day database class that ultimately changed my life and gave me a new career. But for a lot of people, that's just not an option. And yeah, like I said, the chapter funds, we don't know where the money that we raised went. They were also really limited on what kinds of scholarships we could offer, and we weren't allowed to offer childcare at our events, which for us, for an organization that's supposedly focused on women, doesn't seem very inclusive. So my partners and I were already thinking about leaving and starting our own thing when there were some really, really awful things that came out, both via Twitter and on a podcast called #CauseAScene by an amazing woman named Kim Creighton. You should definitely check out that podcast if you haven't. But the very short version of it is there was marginalization of a Black chapter leader in the Minneapolis chapter, and some really awful gaslighting and microaggressions that were happening against a Black employee at the Girl Develop It headquarters. And my partners and I thought that the response from headquarters was just unacceptable. So we decided to start our own thing. All of these women were involved in the Girl Develop It Ann Arbor chapter and are now the co-founders of Tech Inclusive. 3 of us are software developers, 1 is a project manager, but all of us have non-traditional career paths. None of us went to school for software development. And for Emily and myself, the reason that we're in technology right now is because of Girl Develop It, and we want to be able to create that organization for more women. So our mission is dedicated to fostering professional growth for underrepresented people in tech. One of the other things about Girl Develop It that we didn't really like is that it was only for women. We want to make sure that accessible education is available to everybody and that we can provide those low barrier, safe networking opportunities. So how are we going to do this? We're going to proactively reach outside of Ann Arbor. For us, like I mentioned, Ann Arbor is a very wealthy, affluent community, and with Girl Develop It, we weren't allowed to do events outside of Ann Arbor. So we want to come up here to Lansing. We want to get out to Ypsilanti. We want to go to Jackson. We want to reach people where they are. We want to provide low-cost and free resources and multiple levels of accessibility. We weren't allowed to broadcast our classes online, which we really want to start doing, and then including mentorship and actively including all of the people from underrepresented groups, people from different races, people from different socioeconomic statuses, different sexual orientations. We want everybody. So that's our mission, and if anyone is interested in helping support us or learn more about it, I'd love to talk to you after. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. We have a couple of minutes for Q&A. Loop and Jonathan. Yep. Yep, thank you.
Women programmer, yes. And fellow geek. How are you what is the intent of actually, like say for example, you wanted to establish something here in Lansing. I know you're based in Ann Arbor. What exactly is the plan to do that, and how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for Lansing specifically, one of our co-organizers does live here, so that helps. But we want to bring our most popular events are panels. So getting people from different kinds of technology, learning what QA is, learning what user testing is, all of that, being able to do those questions with the community so people can learn where to start is huge. And those are really simple and inexpensive events for us to put on. So that's kind of where we're going to start, and then we'll bring some of our curriculum from Ann Arbor out to these areas once we have some established sponsorship out here. There we go.
Do you need a space to do it at? And
We sure do. We're going to talk after this. I have a card. Yeah.
In what ways are you reaching out to people locally?
Sorry, can you?
In what ways are you reaching out to people locally?
Yeah, so we primarily have an online presence. We have a meetup group that has over 500 members. And then we just blast social media as much as we can. We also rely very heavily on our awesome corporate sponsors to kind of help get the word out in every way that we can.
One more question. Anybody? Come on. It's your last chance. Right there.
Who are some of your corporate sponsors? Plug 'em.
Yeah, so one of our biggest ones is Pillar Technology. We've been getting involved with Google, which is awesome. Atomic Objects out in Ann Arbor, Ann Arbor Spark. So yeah, it's a lot of like local-ish companies that have lots of money to work, which is nice for us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And our last presenter for tonight is Ruben Hewitt with Bringing Healthy to Greater Lansing. Ruben Hewitt, Bringing Healthy to Greater Lansing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruben Hewitt, and I am here representing Menu Bubble. I'll start with a quick spiel about myself. Until recently, I was working long hours as an actuary, and I personally didn't have the time or even the volition for me to cook my own food. So what I did was I started dabbling. This was a few years back. I started dabbling with a bunch of different approaches, and the only one that really gave me the consistent healthy eating results that I desired entailed me paying one of my friends to cook bulk quantities of healthy food that I would swing by and collect every single Sunday. Now, like I mentioned, this was some years back, but over the years, I discerned that I was not the only millennial having this problem, and so one day a light bulb went off, and I figured, yo, let me do something about it. So I'm gonna jump into some data now quickly about millennials. For starters, we don't like being in the kitchen much. About 62% of us, which is more than any preceding generation, have reported that we've purchased food from somewhere within the last 7 days. Also, we are big into health and wellness. When we were asked about our New Year's resolutions, 45% of us said that we wanted to lose weight or get in shape. And that is number 2 on that chart, which means getting in shape is more important to us than having sex, finding love, or finding a home. Go figure. Now, 32% of millennials and 41% of post-millennials are very willing to pay a premium for healthy products. Health is of such a high general concern to us millennials that pushes for healthier food options, such as the Ask Maya for Healthy checkout movement, are now trending here within our community. In spite of that, though, there is still a huge void here in Lansing. There are no companies dedicated to providing healthy, affordable food in a convenient manner. Certainly, there are a bunch of restaurants, but restaurants are designed to take advantage of impulsive purchases. And those, by their very nature, it ain't that healthy. And so that is where we come in. Menu Bubble is a local meal prep company. We are operating out of the Allen Neighborhood Center. What we furnish are healthy, fully cooked, chilled, to-go meals that simply require reheating at the customer's convenience. All of our meals are high protein, nutritious, preservative-free. They're made with all natural, high-quality ingredients. To mitigate waste, we operate on a lean model in which we accept pre-orders until Wednesday of each week. And then during the weekends, we cook and deliver those quantities. Of course, the meal prep company thing is a little bit of a hot topic right now, so we do have competitors, quite a few actually. And here are a few of them. They all exist in far-off locations, and they ship nationally. To do so, they package their boxes full of plastic bags, freezer bags, plastic bags, polyethylene bags, and freezer packs. And what they do is they ship that to your doorstep, where until you get home from work, it's going to sit right next to the cat food that your neighbor may have bought on Amazon. Now, what differentiates us is that we are local. Oops. Yeah, what differentiates us is that we are local. So what that means is that we get to support local Lansing farmers. We get to offer something innovative that we're calling instant delivery. We don't have purchase minimums. We have cheaper packaging costs, and those are reflected in our prices. And also, we don't contribute too heavily to the landfills. Now, the market here in Lansing is about a $7.3 million market, and it's estimated to grow at a rate of about 25 to 30% over the next 5 years. Our meals are priced at about $10 per meal, and our average customer so far purchases about 12 meals per week. If you do the math, that means that if we could scale, and we do believe that we could scale to an annual average by the end of this year, an annual average of 50 customers per week, and that should translate to about $312K in revenue, about 137 of which would be profits. The team, Menu Bubble wouldn't exist without the team. And the team is the executive chef, Aaron Collins, my developer, Jair Libert, and myself. I'm a former junior national sprinter, so I've seen firsthand the impact that healthy eating could have on your performance, physically as well as mentally. Now, progress. We launched in August of last year, and since August, we have obtained our first few recurring customers. We've obtained deals with local hotels. We have obtained acceptance into the Spartan Cash program. And we have partnered with the registered dietitians at Alt Performance Nutrition. Also, we started sponsoring, which is something big for me, being an athlete myself, well, a former athlete. We started sponsoring our first athlete, a local MMA fighter by the name Mando El Toro Gutierrez. I'm going to show you guys a small 1-minute promo video that we did recently with him that we haven't really aired yet. And this is about a day in his life.
ATL right now. Let's get it. Man, we've been grinding for 100 days, 100 nights, 100 days, 100 nights, 100 days, 100 nights. I gotta get my money right. 100 days, 100 nights, 100 days, 100 nights, 100 days, 100 nights. I gotta get my money right. 100 days, 200 nights, 100 days, 200 nights, 100 days, 200 nights. I gotta get my money right. 100 days, 300 nights, 100 days, 300 nights, 100 days, 300 nights. I gotta get my money right. It's hard growing up in the struggle. Apartment buildings, low budget. I turn nothing to something. My mama lived with her mother. I grew up with my cousins. In the streets, been through so much, cause I ain't running from nothing. Little nigga with big attitude. I'm gon' do what I gotta do. You don't know how good it feel to throw my mom's a stack of two. Be gone for months, come back a few, then right back on that avenue. Spend years on that avenue, shed tears on that avenue.
So that is what we are about. Thank you guys very much for your time. Now, you guys can go ahead and hit me with any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ruben. We have a minute for Q&A. Who's got questions for Ruben? Raise your hand.
How does your delivery fleet scale?
So you hit me right off the bat with the difficult one. So, so right now I have a few delivery drivers, right? With the instant delivery stuff that I mentioned, we're toying with having Grubhub kind of fulfill that because the instant delivery is something that their drivers could handle. But right now the plan is really just to get a few more drivers in because we do charge for delivery. So that should, given that where the delivery radius is not that big, the fee that we charge for delivery should be enough to cover each of the drivers that we have, and we should still have just a little bit left over from that.
Do you have a pickup option too then?
No, we don't. We're a delivery-only service.
Do you recycle the? Do you have like a recycling program where you take their Tupperware back, or do you?
So that is something that we planned, we recently discussed, and we plan on implementing. Right now we don't, but yes, if people are purchasing about 12 meals per week, it does tend to stack up. And from talking to my customers, we decided that we would put that option out there, let people know that you could hang on to the containers if you want to, but if you would like to help us, again, avoid overpacking those landfills, we will wash and re-sanitize these containers just to avoid building up too much plastic out there.
Time for 2 more questions.
how do you determine what foods you're going to cook?
We simply, me and the team, we scour the internet for ideas. Whatever we come up with, we bounce it across to our partners at All Performance Nutrition, who help us with portion control and making sure that the meal is somewhat balanced. So all of that, along with testing and seeing how it holds up in the fridge over a few days, that process determines what we ultimately put forth on the menu.
Last question.
I was just going to suggest, tying in with what she said, have you looked into bento boxes?
No, I have not.
I might recommend getting stainless steel bento boxes, and like having a deposit. It's like having a deposit bento box.
Sure.
So they don't throw them away.
Sure, yeah, I will check into that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's been working in India for a long time.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruben, very much. Before we close off for the night, we have one more giveaway. Two more giveaways. Thanks.
And a bunch of tickets that no one's going to claim.
Great.
Yeah.
2, 3, 1, 0, 5, 3. Again, 2, 3, 1, 0, 5, 3. Anyone? All right. 2, 3, 1, 0, 7, 0. 2, 3, 1, 0, 7, 0. Let's keep going.
People coming just for the free food.
2, 3, 1, 0, 8, 6. 2, 3, 1, 0, 8, 6. 10th ticket, I take it home. So that's how it works. 2, 3, 1, 0, 7, 1. 2, 3, 1, 0, 7, 1. 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2. 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2. Yeah, are they? Yeah. 1, 1, 4. Last three digits are 1, 1, 4. Awesome. Congratulations. If you can give your email address to Eric, we'll forward the license off to you.
Pull out the next one.
Yep. 2, 3, 1, 0, 6, 4.
There we go.
Congratulations. Yeah, 0, 6, 4. Yep. Alrighty. Our last slide.
I don't think so. Otherwise, save quick. All right, so I think this is everything. Appreciate everybody coming. Again, this is our 10th year, and appreciate all you guys coming out for 10 years. There's also two sponsors that, they're not the platinum sponsors, but I do really want to call out. So Capital Macintosh and TechSmith have been there pretty much since the beginning. They were our very first sponsors, and they've pretty much sponsored every single year since. So definitely give them a hand. Obviously, TechSmith for donating software too. And of course, this is I think I looked up the records, this is our 7th year, not in a row, but 7th year at the Historic Museum. So again, thank you guys for hosting us. It's an excellent space. But thank you guys very much. Thank you, Leo, for emceeing, and have a safe drive home.